share with each other your own gifts, your own journeys, and trust that the power in the telling of your own tale has value beyond what you can imagine for somebody that maybe you didn't think was going to benefit from it. It could be as simple as a story in a grocery line with somebody that could change the trajectory of their life. Trust yourselves.
Yeah.
Trust the divine within you.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment, a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine, bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics, giving you easy and practical solutions. Guided by me, Dr. Larissa Sharipova, and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. On today's episode 53 of Harmonic Alignment, we have a beautiful, wise guest, Anastasia Sheldon. Anastasia has made it her mission to connect with her higher self, and she is so excited to share her winding journey to truly following her life path and living in alignment. It's a beautiful story. She's a new friend that I was able to connect with at Dr. Zach Bush's retreat in April. She has a farm in Taos, New Mexico called harmonytaosfarm.com. It's breathtakingly beautiful, and she's doing some incredible healing work and inviting others to come and do healing work. Also, her private sessions can be scheduled at bluestarintuition.com. And even this weekend, October 18th, she is hosting a Healing Heart Collective event that you don't want to miss. So check out all of her work in the show notes. Make sure to like and follow the wisdom of Anastasia Sheldon. I am so excited. I am here today with Anastasia Sheldon. Anastasia and I met at Dr. Zach Bush's retreat in Costa Rica in April. And she is a fellow light worker, just a divine being who is here to pave the way for, I think, all of humanity. And she has an incredible journey and a story to share. I'm so honored you're here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Priscilla, and thank you for doing this podcast. These are really important podcasts to have people on who have important stories to share to all of our communities. And thank you for providing that opportunity and platform.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that you've had this incredible, varied journey. And I think that when we get to share our winding paths, we get to inspire others on their journeys. So where would you like to start and tell me your story?
So I just want to preface it by saying the reason I even want to tell this story is not because I'm particularly special, but because everyone who potentially might listen has this journey within them. I don't know what theirs looks like. I just know it's available to them. And when we tell each other the stories, the winding paths we took to arrive at a place of deeper love and deeper sacred living, we can then learn from that and perhaps find the courage to take our own next step. That's the motivation for me. So I was a bodyworker and a Feldenkrais practitioner for many years.
What's a Felden practitioner?
So Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais from Israel developed a form of physical therapy based on the physics of movement and his study of judo. And he taught that throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s, maybe even in the 50s. And I studied with one of his students in the 90s. And we spent basically 4 years in deep study, often on the floor for hours on end, deeply exploring what's alive and living in the body. And so we were dropping in very, very intensely. In the 90s, things were not online. They were in person. And this was a 4-year course of study, which today I don't think you could get people's attention to do that kind of deep, deep, deep work. But it set the stage for a lot of self-awareness and growth for me. Anyway, after I had come out of those 4 years, I started a small clinic for cancer survivors because they would be told you're clear of cancer, you're free, everything's fine, but they were traumatized. with a posse of volunteers, we set up clinic in San Rafael, California, and we would invite people who were predominantly post-mastectomy, but a lot of different kind of people and people with chronic illness as well, to come in, and it was donation basis. And it gave new graduates a place to also practice. That was a rich experience that went on for a few years. Where it left me lacking is I never figured out how to earn enough money to create a living from Feldenkrais. At this time, I was married and I had 2 little kids, and we were creating a Waldorf community at a public school for them in San Geronimo Valley, California. During this time, I got this inspiration, and I'm going to call it an inspiration because I think that will resonate. I really am hoping people can hear there's something in each person listening that's their inspiration. And it could be something that you kind of tucked in your back pocket and you haven't thought of for 20 years. And it could be something that's screaming at you right now. And my inspiration was I wanted to have a farm. And I wanted to create a place where all my friends would buy shares in the same farm. It would be a permaculture farm. It'd be in Sebastopol, California, was where I envisioned it. And we would probably put like a team of graduate students from a permaculture institute there full time. And we would all come up on the weekends, and we would have little cabins, and the kids could play with the animals, learn how to grow, and we could all decompress and have community. And so I held this vision for quite a long time, and I could not figure out how this was going to come about. And so to that end, I followed another one of my interests, which was architecture and housing, and I became a realtor in Marin County, California in 2007. So here I was already 45, and I'd spent my life mostly in the world of somatics, touch. I wasn't real versed in contracts, business. And I went into this world of business thinking, oh, well, I'm going to learn how to do contracts, and maybe I'll learn how to make money, and then I can buy the farm. And so many years went by, and frankly, I lost sight. I would come to the vision every year when our company would say, so, come up with your business plan, come up with your big why. And that was usually my big why, besides taking care of the family, was I wanted to have this farm. But at the same time, I was buying into the capitalist ideal, the capitalist dream. How can you double your sales? And so here I was coming out of the world of somatics. One thing I really loved about this world was when you're in Feldenkrais world, you are getting so much information from the bodies that you're working with, the humans, the energy, and yet it doesn't translate into neat packages of language. And when I got my hands on contracts, I went, wow, this is super cool because it's really straightforward. It's like, it says it here, 13.A.2, do this. And so for the first 5 years, I was like, this is great. I'm completely outside of my normal realm, which is where I'm always trying to relanguage what I'm sensing and feeling for the benefit of the person I'm working with.
I just have to say that I think that is so fantastic that you used your training, your intuition, your body work, all those practices, and it truly made you kind of gifted at understanding probably people, contracts. I think I heard on one podcast, you knew which coffee shop to walk into where you were going to meet somebody and make a sale. Like you were like fully following the nudges and checking in with your intuition.
Yeah, it became a really active training ground for me where I would have to really listen. I wouldn't even know I was doing it. It was just, where should I be today? I should be there. And then that's where the next client came from. And it was training me. I didn't see where it was leading me at the time, but it was leading me somewhere. And so many years later, after becoming a top producer in real estate and driving the right car and wearing the right clothes and doing all the right things you do in Marin County, California, I had lost my way. And I could feel it, but I didn't know how to get out of it at the time. I was living the sort of suburban dream, taking care of my kids, providing all the things they thought they needed in high school, college, but I wasn't on purpose. I wasn't on task. And then COVID hit.
The
COVID
gift and
for
the
me,
chaos of COVID.
the gift of COVID was immeasurable for me as somebody who feels so deeply, that's where I sense things. Instead of living out of my car with the phone on one hand and, coming home late at night, having made dinner at 7 a.m. and then getting back on the phone at home that night, they sent us home at first. And so for like a month or 6 weeks, I just got to sit, hike, do yoga. And then I heard it. I heard, you need to get out of here. You got to go. And that's that voice. It'll tell you something. And it was like, you need to go sit tight. You've been running around for 17 years. You have got to go sit tight and let us change you. And I was kind of waiting for that message because I hadn't heard it in a while. But in COVID times, with enough quiet, I could finally hear it again. And after ignoring it and being sent back out because for some reason realtors were considered essential workers, I said to my then husband at the time, I said, I got to get out of here. And while I was trying to get out of there, there were fires burning everywhere in the Bay Area, in addition to COVID. And I was working now 7 days a week because everybody in San Francisco wanted to be in Marin and everybody in Marin wanted to be in Lake Tahoe. And so we were so crazy busy, and they were putting more and more restrictions on how we could work. And then the fires hit, and the skies were filled with smoke, and I kept hearing, you gotta go.
You're like, another sign is coming.
I can't go. Well, it's on fire now. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to Bend, Oregon. And by the end of the summer, I was prepared to go to Bend, Oregon, except it caught on fire.
Oh no.
Bend, Oregon. Not the town, but the surrounding area. So everything was filled with smoke. And honestly, Priscilla, I don't recall how I made the decision to go to Taos, New Mexico. I still to this day, I have no idea. I don't remember the moment. I don't remember why. I had been there a couple of times in the 80s when I was like 20. I hadn't maintained relationships with anybody. And I didn't know anybody except one person that I had known for many years before, or I hadn't talked to in 10 years. So to cut to the chase, I packed up the car and I went to Taos, New Mexico to follow this prompt, which was, please just go, be quiet, stop moving around so much. We have work to do, and we can't do it with you moving around all the time on the phone, chit-chatting and transacting. And I want to stop for a moment and put a bookmark on transacting, because my life up at that point had been for many, many years transactional. And today it is relational. But to get from transactional to relational took a lot, actually. It took me doing a lot of nothing, actually. I had to come to New Mexico. So I came out here. I sat for 6 weeks doing yoga. Everything was shut down, walking, quiet. And at the end of it, I realized, whoa, I need a year of this, at least. And when I went back and I told my then husband, I need a year of it, more of just sitting, he said, I don't have that to give you. And this dear man, who is my friend today, he kind of just threw down the gauntlet and said, I'm not on board with your journey. I mean, it wasn't his journey. It had never been his journey, and that's partly why it hadn't come together fully. We were on a journey of raising our kids together, and we did what I think is a really good job. I love our children. I love our family unit. So it was uncanny how fast we decoupled 26 years of marriage and 31 years together. And I'm not saying it was easy. A lot of tears, and my kids were devastated. They didn't see it coming. But I had to stay on purpose, and he had to stay true to himself. Once I made that decision to follow that still small voice, wherever it was going to take me, then it was like I was off to the races. It was as if behind me, everything was being prepared. All I had to do was step through the portal. And what I did is I literally walked out of my marriage, my community, and my career.
That takes some courage, beyond courage to
I was terrified. And I also convinced myself that I wasn't really leaving my career. And I did for like a year. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep going back. This is fine. And if it doesn't work, I'll sell the farm, whatever. Meantime, I had met with a client of mine that I had met the first week I was in real estate. And I had eventually sold their house in the hills of Fairfax, and they had eventually moved to Taos, New Mexico. When I reached back out to them after I had come home from my 6 weeks and said, yeah, my marriage is coming to an end, and I'm not sure how this is going to look. They said to me, we think you're going to buy our farm. And I said, you did not hear the story. I'm getting divorced, and I probably won't have a lot of resources, and I'll be lucky if I can get a condo in Novato. And they're like, nah, you're going to buy our farm. And at this point, and I want to just stop and say, on the ride out, I'd had a little conversation with myself back in the fall for this 6-week sojourn, where I said, that fantasy of having a farm someday in Sebastopol's on fire. And Northern California's on fire, and Southern Oregon's on fire, and they need to burn for about the next 50 years. So great to have a fantasy. It really promoted you getting into real estate. It's given you financial freedom, but that dream has come to an end. And so when I got to Taos, I kind of let it go after 17 years. It was like, time to let it go, and sometimes we have those fantasies and they get us to the next step. So here I was, now it was like the beginning of 2021. I'm separated from my husband and I'm wrapping things up in Marin County, and they're on the phone with me going, yeah, you're going to buy our farm. And I'm going, yeah, no, I'm not. And so this goes on like a few times with these people. And then finally I'm like, why am I resisting this? This was the vision. So finally it wasn't, here's why I can't do it. It was like, why couldn't I do this? And I started asking that, why can't I do this? I'm asking spirit, is this what you want me to do? And I'm getting, yeah, that's a good plan. Why don't you go for it? So there was the movement of breaking away from this marriage of many, many years in which we had very divergent soul plans at that point. And then it was about saying, I'm going to walk away from my community and my work and move 1,600 miles away. And I did. When you say yes to your soul's mission, things fall into place. And I know you've had this experience, and I know you've witnessed other people with this experience. All of a sudden, my husband was able to buy me out of the house. Within 3 weeks, he gave me all the money I needed for the farm. That doesn't happen. I work in real estate and mortgage brokerage. You can't pull that off.
I just gotta say, like, that is such a gift that when you know your soul's purpose, when you're living that on point, the universe will find a way. And if we just had faith and surrendered, holy moly, like it happened. He bought you out.
And the first step to that faith is always going to be uncertainty and all the reasons why you can't, almost always. And it is a hero's journey, in this case, a heroine's journey of like, you're being asked to do something that is somewhat going to destroy some part of your personality, your life.
You almost go through a death. You are going through a death.
Yeah, it is. It is a version of a death. And it's not easy to make that step. And I want to say, I wanted that farm, and I had heard along the way different steps to take, and I avoided them for years. I did not follow the calling. I didn't stop listening to it. I just wouldn't take action on it. I was terrified.
Yeah.
And finally, I want to thank COVID a lot for this, because it was kind of like when that voice came through and said, now, do it now. And I said, okay. I'm going. I'll take whatever's the next step in front of me. I'm only going for 6 weeks. It's just 6 weeks. It's not the end. That was all my ego could handle.
One step at a time. I can take this next step. I don't know what's next, but I think, so many light beings right now, so many souls that are on this journey of evolution are facing a huge crossroads, and it's scary. They're at the edge of the cliff and they're like, do I stick my toe out? What happens when I fall? Because, your mind goes through, I still need income. I still need this. I still need this. And all of it can't unfold until you do it, until you leave the job, the marriage, the location, the comfort zone.
And I'm not saying to people they have to leave their marriage. However, my soul purpose did not align with his soul purpose. And the sweetest thing anybody can do for somebody at that point is to let them go. If you love
Set them free if you love them.
let them go towards their soul purpose and celebrate it. Because I was dying inside, because I wasn't on task, I wasn't on mission. And I thank him for that, and now we are really good friends.
That makes my heart happy. And both of your lives will unfold more beautifully that way. You started a farm. What's the farm called?
I bought the farm, babe.
You bought the farm. Well, so tell me the name of the farm.
Harmony Farm.
And
that was really funny because I was going to be all Southwesty and go Rancho del Corazon or something like that.
Sexy.
And my inside was like, nah, no, the guys was Harmony Farm. And there was a moment when we had some friends over, and I'd only been here a few weeks, and we were new friends, and we walked and smudged. We walked around the property, and then we sat on this lawn, closed our eyes, and did some blessings. And when we opened our eyes, there was a double rainbow above us.
That is like my favorite sign in the universe, is a double rainbow. New beginnings.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, you want us here. And then the journey, it got very interesting with learning to listen to guidance more deeply and the amount of quiet and solitude that was required. And I want to bring that up because I think that's probably common with many of us light workers that are feeling called, is that we get this message, sit down, shut the fuck up.
But we don't do it. I mean, I hear it. I know I'm supposed to do it, but I will distract myself, stay busy. What other project can I take on to prevent myself from sitting still to actually face the reality that I need to face?
Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but I had a lot of time to do it out here in the middle of nowhere before I had really met a lot of people. And in that time, they did start reworking me. And I want to say that really, really clearly to each person listening. We are energetically wired to be different than we are expressing today in the modern world. And when you start to quiet down your nervous system, and it's different for everybody. For some people, they need to be in a lot of water. Maybe they should be swimming every day. I trust that the people listening absolutely know if they're quiet. It might be kind of like a whisper. And you're going, rah, 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 rah. I don't know why that should be working. But it's that whisper you got to listen to, guys. And that will change you energetically. I mean, so radically has my nervous system changed. My capacity to intuit, to really run energy in a way that we would call it Qigong. I kind of intuited my own version of it, a little bit mixed in with the microcosmic orbit and a little bit mixed in with the toroidal fields. We got to run our own energy. And then we find out that we really are here. We are creators. We are creator beings. We're very, very powerful creator beings. And the magic that can get created through these portals, these physiological portals, is freaking phenomenal. And when you come together with other people and do it, it's a rocket ship.
Yeah, we're on the rocket ship. We're ready to take off. Well, also, I just have to point out, you age backwards. Like, you moving the energy, you're more youthful. Aren't you feeling healthier than you've ever felt, more vibrant than you've ever felt? Like, that's one of the side effects of tapping into this.
Yeah. And this is year 4, and I'm 64. I would say I feel younger and more vital this year. And we shared earlier that I've got energy running through my body that brand new, and I'm in my 60s. Woohoo! So, you do not know what's coming, folks, but stay tuned. And for those of you that are in the midst of this, woohoo, keep going.
Keep going. There's something good on the other side. It's never too late. You're never too old. You're never too young. You're never too anything.
So, it's not that I don't use my logical mind and my ability to create a spreadsheet, which I have to admit, I have Virgo rising. I like spreadsheets, but in service to the divine, to inspiration, to guidance. And when that shift gets made, and it's tricky, I get it. It's super tricky to give over control. It's super hard. And it is a little bit of stepping off into the unknown, but we are all headed back there. This lifetime or soon, you know, we're gonna all get there. And I'm on the journey. I'm not arrived anywhere. I'm on the journey because I have this feeling humans are really headed for this massive energy transformation. Many of us are sensing and feeling it.
You're on the journey, but you're helping people on the journey. You know, you and I had a session. It was extremely powerful. You are helping other people along their journeys to, you know, fully embody into this. How do people work with you? And I think your website is called, is it Blue Star Intuition?
Yeah, that's one of my two websites. Yeah. One is the farm, TaosHarmonyFarm.com, and Blue Star Intuition. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Blue Star was a name that came to me in the 80s. I lived for 5 years in my early hippie years on Kauai and the Big Island. And I was out at the beach and I just heard Blue Star. And I didn't really know what it meant. I just felt this feminine energy around me and it felt big. And then shortly after that, I had been a member of the Agape Church out of LA, and we had a little retreat. I took some people over to Kauai, and my co-lead on that retreat looked over at me out of the blue and she goes, "Oh, you're Blue Star." And I went, "How did she pick that up? That was super." And so I kept it under wraps for decades. And then, I don't know, 2 years ago, I built the website and I decided that it was time to start actually offering some of the things that I'd been learning to other people. And I was like, you know, I think I'm going to come out of the closet and call it Blue Star Intuition. And
That's
kind of own
fantastic.
it now. It felt like time. It was time to own Blue Star. And so what I do with people is people often will come to me who want to learn to listen to guidance more clearly. The tagline on there, it says your higher self is calling. And so I know your higher self is calling all the time. And sometimes it's just creating a container so that you can get your own downloads.
I think you just put the nail on the head of creating a container. You know, I don't know that anyone does the healing. You heal yourself, but we have these guides along our journey. And so when you create a very powerful container and ask some really powerful questions of your higher self, those answers for anyone you're working with are going to be more where they can latch on and understand them and fully embody them and feel them. And I think you were very helpful about where in my body was that coming up for me.
Thank you for speaking to that. And so it is a combination. I don't do the hands-on work anymore, but I can feel the field of the energetics, and we create a blended energetic field when we work together. And from that place, sometimes people's different beliefs and thoughts will come up that are in the way of them accessing their higher self. And so I think we did a little piece of internal family systems together. I don't want to tell you something. I want you to hear it. And if there's something in the way, how can I help you get that part of you to feel more comfortable or to resolve or to be heard or listened to so it can start to evolve and change so that it can step aside and your guidance can then really come through. And so sometimes I'll work with somebody for quite a few weeks with the internal family systems, allowing space. You know, the goal is you're getting your own downloads and you're learning to trust them. And when you're in a container with another person who trusts their downloads, it's a morphic field, it's resonant. And so you start to trust your downloads. Yeah. I had a very powerful teacher when I got here who created a very powerful container for me. And it helped me start to learn to trust and rely on my guidance.
I'm so glad you said that, because one of the things is I have started, when the thought comes, if I say it out loud and have a safe space to say the thought that's coming out loud, I'm finding confirmation every time I say it out loud. And then it's like, okay, that wasn't just something crazy. That was real. That was a truth that came through me. And having people around that support that, and you feel safe sharing the thought that comes into your head as a divine knowing or magic, something magical.
Yeah. We're calling it magic because the old world is still operating.
Yeah.
And so we think that the logic is the real and the inspired, intuitive, multidimensional is the magic. But I think you and I both know it's going to flip.
Yeah, that's going to be the real. And they're operating in the
Yeah.
fake.
And what's so fun about living my life right now is I get to live that. So I'm living that the magic is the real, and the quote unquote the real with all the economics and all that. I get to see that's the game. I get to sit here in Taos, New Mexico, and I get it. Lots of people are having a very different experience and have other needs and there are other things going on in their lifestyle. But at the very least, if you can remember, it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
That world of economics and driven, if I don't make my numbers, my quotas, if I don't pay my taxes, and I have a finite amount of hours in which to do it, and all of that is a construct that we have collectively bought into, right?
Yeah.
And when you start to step back and start to rest back into the arms of the divine, your higher self, I just start laughing, actually. Sometimes, and I think I told you that I had that download in the spring, and I was just laughing. Like, this is hilarious. And I'm very blessed. I have community that is also on this path. And so we can create this container for each other.
Well, I want you to tell us about, you are creating community and you're creating events and retreats and places for facilitators and a place where you're facilitating at the farm.
Yeah, so this is a regenerative farm. We regenerate both agriculturally as well as humanly. When people come here, they can come here and stay here for short term or long term. They can do work trades. They can just pass through and rent something. And then in 2026, we're going to start with a roster of retreats. We've been doing classes, but now we're going to jump into retreats. So right now, as we speak, the 24-foot yurt is being built. The platform's done.
Oh, the yurt is coming.
Yeah, and so that's going to be our meeting space. Right now, we've been meeting in my home, which has been working for smaller groups, but this will allow us to expand. And there's a series of teachers that will be coming for day-longs, weekends, and extended weekends. And you'll be able to have a choice of staying on the farm, whether you're going to be in an apartment, a guest room, or a glamp. Or you could stay in a nearby, within a mile, there's a 4-star hotel, as well as some very historic inns. So you could stay in something else if you wanted to do that. And then people like yourself, I'm hopeful in 2026, will come facilitate with me, and we will do regenerative work where we are reclaiming our souls and waking up into the new reality. And as we do that, we're collectively doing it for ourselves, for our families, for the community, and for humanity as a whole, because that's what the planet wants us to be doing. And that was the download I got when I got this farm. And provide this opportunity for yourself first and for community second, and open it up. And so I am. And I'm super excited.
What a beautiful vision. You and I hold true that when one person is healed and whole, that ripples out. And thank you for that.
We don't have to wait for 4,000,000,001 people to get the download. The quantifiable, it's not like that. It's more, as each of us do this great awakening, we change things dramatically. And so we're very quickly at the tipping point already.
I love it. New epoch. Here we come. New earth.
Yeah.
Well, if you had a microphone and you could speak to every soul on the planet, is there something you wish that they knew?
Well, I was sharing with you some of my notes from this morning that I was getting. So I'm going to read a couple of these paragraphs.
Please.
Okay? My fervent wish is that everyone will follow their still small voice, past the cacophony of the internalized naysayers, layers of culture, family, and parenting that have drummed into us a million reasons not to trust yourself, your inner compass. I believe it takes the telling of each of our tales out of the dark woods of our cultural suffering to inspire and give courage to the next person to take that step and begin to walk their unique gifted path back to the magic. Then that person tells their tale in such a way we, humanity, walk ourselves back out to the world of the sacred, of the magical and the imagined. Because what I did find out once I took that step is that magic is real, sacred is my birthright, and that I am cherished. And so are you.
Magic is real, sacred is my birthright, and I am cherished. And so
Yeah, and that is true for every single being.
what a beautiful message to share with humanity. Is there anything else that are you feeling called to share? I'm so grateful for your time, gifting your presence and your wisdom with our community.
Let me just check in for a sec. Share with each other your own gifts, your own journeys, and trust that the power in the telling of your own tale has value beyond what you can imagine for somebody that maybe you didn't think was going to benefit from it. It could be as simple as a story in a grocery line with somebody that could change the trajectory of their life. Trust yourselves.
Yeah,
Trust the divine within you.
that's beautiful. And the divine is always happening. It's always unfolding. I love that. Thank you so much, Anastasia. Thank you. What an honor to be with you today. I look forward to hanging out on the farm with you soon.
Me too. Can't wait to share.
Well, thank you. Until next time.
Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larissa Sharapova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larissa Sharapova and Priscilla Koblenz and the producers, are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.